It is time to get serious. This is a read or unhaul video. I have so many books that have been sitting on my shelf for far too long, and I feel like there's plenty that if I haven't read them by now, I'm not going to read them, and it's time to unload them. So I'm just gonna take you around, show you everything I got, and let's do a little clean out. So we're starting in my bedroom, as you can see, and I really just have a few in here, and then we will head out to the living room where I have all the rest. Okay, so we have The Woman Who Lied by Claire Douglas. I have loved her books in the past, so I think I am going to keep this one because I haven't had it that long, so I feel good about that. All right. We have Stay Close by Harlan Coben. You know, I've had this for a while and it's just never been something I went to go pick up. So I'm gonna unhaul that. Same with this one, Emma in the Night. I know there was a time that I was very interested in this because Wendy Walker is an author. She wrote one called Don't Look for Me that I really liked. So I thought that this would be something that, I would pick up, but I really just, I haven't. So no more. The Clementine Complex. So this I got from the publisher and I just don't think I'm going to read it. Again, I've had it for so long. It hasn't been one I've gravitated towards, so no need to keep that. The Winter People. So I have had this for a while, but I still feel like I want to keep it because I've just been like waiting. I mean, I do think this is definitely the second, if not the third, like winter that we are going into that I've owned this and haven't read it. But I feel like if I put it in the living room on that shelf, I will be much more likely to read this because they get a little lost down here. So maybe that's the secret. We're gonna keep this. I have had this book, Self Care, for like 3 years and I haven't even cracked it open at all. So this is definitely one to get rid of. Very dusty. Great Circle. Now I'm very torn on this because how? Um, I know that I'll love this once I get to it, but I've just never, it's so like weighty. Like it's not to be not to be like that girl from TikTok, but it has so many words. Now it's just very dense and the pages are really thin. It's like intimidating. So I am a little nervous to read it, but I know that I actually do have the ebook of this that my mom bought me, I think. So I am gonna go ahead and unload the paperback because I just don't need to have two. We've got Camp Zero. This is a book that I had been looking forward to for a while, and I don't really know why I haven't read it yet. I think this is kind of the same sort of situation with The Winter People where I just didn't look at it, so I didn't pick it. So we are gonna keep it. Games and Rituals. This is short stories. The publisher sent me this. I honestly just looked at the back and like I just don't know if I'm that interested in it anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that. And All My Rage. I've had this also for eons and have yet to read it, so I am going to unhaul that. The Thursday Murder Club. I have had this a while and I don't. I think I'm going to hold on to this because everyone says it's so good and I don't know. It's so cute. Old people solving murders. Why haven't I picked it up yet? Who We Are Now. I don't think that I have any intentions of reading this, so it will go. Okay, the other three I have over here are Don't Call It a Cult, which is about the Nexium MLM slash cult, and I've read like half of it, and I do intend to finish it. I also have The Utility of Boredom, which is essays about baseball. Again, I have intentions of finishing it. Unorthodox, which is a memoir of a Hasidic Jew who left the religion. And then Dear Martin, which I doubt I'm ever going to read. So I'll get rid of that one too. Over here, I just have some of my American Girl books that like I found in a box, like from my childhood. So they're very old, but it was so cool to see them. I'm keeping these, but someday it would be nice to like go back and read them, see how they hold up. So that's all we've got in here. So now let's go to the living room. I feel like I probably should have cleaned up in the background a little bit, but just don't look at that. So here we have The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier. I want to keep this. This is something that I got sent by the publisher and I got it recently, so I am going to hold on to it. I also have Monstrillo that, oh my gosh, who read this and loved it? I feel like it was Allie from All I Do Is Read, and I was just totally convinced by her review of it, so I got a copy of myself. This is actually the English copy, or UK edition, so yeah. Now I've got a couple of arcs here, and like my goal for 2025 is that I want to prioritize those books, even though I never want to like force myself to read a book I'm not interested in. I'm being so much more intentional about what arcs I request and not asking for books just for the sake of, this sounds like it might be okay. Like, no, you have plenty to read. If it sounds like it just might be okay, skip it. So I have We Ripped the World Apart, and this is a book that seems like it's gonna be really good. It's like contemporary fiction, and I have read another book by this author that I really enjoyed, so it sounds like this is gonna be one I really enjoy as well. Another one, I can't remember what this is about, but I know that it was one that I was excited to read when I got like the descriptions for the arcs that were being offered. Okay, so next I have Walk Softly on This Heart of Mine. This is about like a bar in Austin, Texas that is like, it's 1975 and there's like a new house band. This bar is like going south, and then this like new band like really brings them back to life. So that sounds cute. And it's an arc, so I'm going to read it. The Dead Take the Train. I don't really feel like I know much about this. According to the back, this is a strange, visceral urban fantasy with a horror bent. So I am intrigued. You know, I'm not a big fantasy girl, but I can get into it. I've got The Queen by Nick Cutter. I did get this from the publisher Gallery Books, so definitely hanging on to that. It's pretty new. Got Trust by Hernan Diaz. I bought this on Pango not too long ago. I'm kind of annoyed because now it's out in paperback, but I bought the hardcover and I hate reading hardcovers, but it's fine. I'll read it anyways. But yeah, I'm keeping that one. What Happened to the McRaes? So I actually already read this. I had the audiobook and I loved it. I loved it so much. So, I mean, I'll take my Instagram picture and then unhaul this one. Somewhere Beyond the Sea. I am keeping this. I had it pre-ordered and I got it on like release day and forgot I had pre-ordered it. I read The House on the Cerulean Sea quite a long time ago, and so I probably need to reread that before I can read this one, but I will. Very Bad Company. This is an arc. It came out last May. I don't think I'm going to read it, so I will unhaul that. Perfect Little World by Kevin Wilson. So I actually am going to read this in December, like next week, because it's for one of my book clubs. This is the pick, so I'm excited to read that and obviously keeping it. I have a very, very early copy of Jennifer Weiner's upcoming book. This is called The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hits, and I don't really know much about it, but pretty cool to have like a copy that's so early. It doesn't even have a cover, so that's pretty neat. But definitely going to keep that. I have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. I got this around my birthday time in June, and I still plan to read it. Polybius, I think that's what this says. This is like an upcoming book about this like video game that like gives like people play it and then they like lose it. So so it sounds really cool, and definitely gonna read this. This doesn't come out until the end of April. And on this shelf, the last one is This Bird Has Flown, which I know that I was interested in at a time. However, I do not think this will ever be one that I reach for, so I will unhaul it. Okay, I had to change my camera battery, so we're back with a little bit more lighting as well. So, next shelf. Okay, so next we have Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. This I don't know much about. It comes out in March, and it's an arc. I'm gonna keep it, and I'm like so committed to reading all of the arcs that I get this year. So I know that like if I didn't want to read this, I would never question it. So Becoming the Boogeyman. So I got this from the publisher as well, Gallery Books, and it sounded like such a cool concept, like a really cool book, and then I realized that this is actually a sequel. So I do need to get my hands on a copy of the first one that's called I don't know. Chasing the Boogeyman. So I need to, yeah, read that before I can read this, but I do plan to. All right, Crying at H Mart. I definitely want to read this. So, I had a time when it was just impossible for me to read anything that wasn't centered around grief because every other problem by a protagonist felt so trivial. Grief can be selfish, I guess. But I still want to read this. It's just I'm kind of out of that phase now, so it's not as much of a priority as it once was. While we're there, same with Joan Didion, The Year of Magical Thinking. That's another one that I had acquired during that time. My mom gave it to me, and I still will be reading, but it's just not as high on my priority list. What I Ate in 1 Year and Related Thoughts by Stanley Tucci. So this came out in October, and it's literally what he ate in a year, which is a cool concept, but honestly, this is an arc that already came out, and I don't know if this is something that I would like pick up, so I'm gonna go ahead and unhaul it. I'm not doing as well on these shelves with unhauling stuff. Plays well with others. Now, this has been on my TBR for so long. I've talked about it in videos, and yet here we are. So I'm gonna hold on to this just a little bit longer because I think once I get into the right mood for some mommy drama, like this will just be it. I'm not unhauling this, and it's not exciting. It's just the grief handbook. Yet another grief book. Moving on doesn't mean letting go. I am keeping this for when I feel that I need a little help. Too Soon. Now, this is also an arc that I got from Avid Reader Press. This comes out in January. And it really doesn't say what it's about on the back, but I do remember like being excited about it. So there it is, still excited. Another arc from Avid Reader Press, We Would Never by Tova Mervis. Another one I really don't know anything about. But it's got a lady in a pool on the cover, so it sounds like rich people thriller drama, so I'm interested. Old Flame. So I have had this copy around for quite some time, so I think I'm going to unhaul that. I have The List, which I also bought in London around my birthday, and I really do want to read. You know what's a bummer? So I have been wanting to read this. I think it sounds really cool. It's about like this couple, and one morning there's this like list circulating of like men that have been like Me Too'd, as they should. And this woman's fiance, I think, is on it, and people are like telling her like, "Oh my God, like have you seen the list?" And so like the aftermath of that. So I think that sounds like a really good book. But it has really low ratings on Goodreads, which makes me mad that I even looked because I mean, it sounds like a book I want to read, so I shouldn't worry about what Goodreads says, but here we are. Blood in the Cut. I honestly have no idea where this came from. It's an arc, but like I don't feel like I remember even getting it. It did come out in June, so that could be part of it, but I'm gonna unhaul that. Okay, so The Last Night at the Telegraph Club. This has been in many, many unhauls, and I think it's time to unhaul it, unfortunately. I did realize that I had this also on audio, no, on my Kindle, so I probably don't need a physical copy anyways if I do decide to read it. Wing Walking, this was a book that I was sent by a friend, so I will keep this. I do want to read it. It's a memoir by that JetBlue flight attendant who, like, opened a door and blew the slide and just, like, bounced when he wanted to quit. He was at his wit's end. So it's, you know, about him and his life. We have Name Your Price by Holly James. This is one that I started listening to it, but it was back in August when my dad was, like, really, really, really sick. So I kind of, like, stopped reading it, but I did have the audiobook. So I'm going to get rid of the physical copy because if I decide to go back to it, you know, I have a way to do that. The Third Wife of Faraday House. You know, I don't really know about this, and I don't think that it's a book that I want to keep because if I had wanted to read it, I would have by now. The Hidden Book. This is a World War II story, I believe. And as much as I think it sounds good, I just don't think that it's ever going to be one I grab for. Oh boy. We Could Be Heroes. Now this is another one that I really did want to read when I first got it, and I just didn't, and I think that this could do better in someone else's collection, and I'm gonna pass it on to someone else. I have this little used copy of The Wastelands by Stephen King, and eventually someday I will get back to the Dark Tower series, but it's not today. But I'm gonna hang on to this because, you know, it's just like a small little copy. It's not a mass market paperback. It's a little bit bigger, so that's good. The Undocumented... Take two. The Undocumented Americans. This is one I've had for a while, about a DACA woman who, you know, with things that happened and may happen again. So I think this is one that is important to read relatively soon. We have Between Friends and Lovers. This sounds cute. It's like an Instagram and like a social media famous doctor who has some complicated issues, and then she has an actor friend, something or other. So it sounds cute, and if I'm in the mood for like a romance, that would be one to pick up. Two more that are definitely in the camp of if I wanted to read that, I would have read it by now. The Body Liberation Project, How Understanding Racism and Diet Culture Helps Cultivate Joy and Build Collective Freedom. I think this would be a book that I really did enjoy. I don't reach for nonfiction that much, and so I think it would just be kind of taking up shelf space that could be read by someone that would get a lot out of it. Father She Went to Find. I did think this sounded good at one point, and again, I'm sure it is a decent read, but I just probably won't read it. The Stationery Shop. Ooh, Deckled Edges. I always think deckled edges on a paperback are just like kind of funny. I don't know why. I feel like paperback books are just like casual, and so I don't know. So I will probably get rid of this. I know I was sent this as kind of like a companion to The Lion Women of Tehran, which was this author's newest book. So I think that I probably won't read this. I'll unhaul it. Another book about grief. Tarantulus. This is an arc. It came out a while ago in June, and I haven't read it, so. The Business Trip. This is an arc as well. This book comes out in January, so this will definitely be one I read in December. And The Briar Club This is an arc that came out in July, and I will be unhauling this because I started it. It was just like not feeling it at the time, and I do have a finished copy of it, so I don't need this. Even though I would much rather read it in a paperback, I'm still gonna unhaul it for the sake of space. Okay, it's getting really dark really fast. Okay, so a couple of these are pretty new, so I will go through them quickly. Brooklyn is a book that I just got because someone pointed out to me that I had purchased Long Island and read a little bit of it in the bookstore and was like, that's great. I got it on Pango and I like talked about it. And then someone's like, did you know that's a sequel? And I was like, I did not. So I got the first one, Brooklyn, from Pango as well. I've got this from the publisher Putnam. Is she really going out with him? This does seem cute. And again, it just came out and I would like to read it. Okay, these are 3 books that I literally like got today. I did not purchase, whatever. I had one was a pre-order, and that is Taylor Swift by the Book, which I am so excited to read. So it's a little different. I thought this was gonna be like in like fully like I don't know. It's like I don't know if you can even see it. What am I thinking of? Like blocks of text. Like it's like a book with chapters. Anyways, this is about all of the literary references in Taylor Swift's music, which is awesome because I love books and I love Taylor Swift. So I'm so excited to read this. As soon as I heard about this, I was like, I need it. And then at Barnes & Noble, there was a buy one, get one half off. So I got All I Want Is You, which is my book club's pick for December. So that was nice. And then I couldn't not get a book for half price. So I got A Winter Wish, which I'm curious about. I've read another book by this author and I thought it was okay. I didn't like the ending that much, but this one is the main character, her dad passes away, and so immediately I was like, kinship, let's keep it, let's go. I got a book called Creep, which is an arc. It comes out in February. I feel like I need to speed this up. All right, so we have Burn. This is an arc that already came out. I'm probably not going to read it, and I think I have the audiobook if I do decide to. Banyan Moon, I am probably not going to read this, but I think my best friend will love this, so I'm going to give it to her. Bad Feminist, and like cool sprayed edges. I'm going to read this. Everything Glittered. This is an arc that came out in September, so I don't see myself like being drawn to it. The Family Fang by Kevin Wilson. I will read that. I love Kevin Wilson. The Second Chance Year. I know that this is a book that I had said, like, when I'm in the mood for a romance, that's going to be a winner. And I still think it will be. I just haven't really read romance that wasn't an arc at this point. The Paris Daughter. This is a World War II historical fiction. I'll probably not read it. The Wife. This is one that I, again, got sent and just hadn't really gotten to. The Garden of Eden, Ernest Hemingway. Quickly, While They Still Have Horses. This is short stories. I don't think I'll read it either. Housewife. Ooh, man, I've had this for a while, but I think I just need it like a little more in my face when I'm picking out books because it does like seem like something that I'll really enjoy once I finally am picking a new book and it's in my face. Once More from the Top. This is a newer book, and I do want to read it. We have Dear Dolly, Collected Wisdom. This is like a... Yeah, I'm not going to read that. I mean, it looks like it's good, but there's too many books in the world. The Weekend. My best friend gave this to me, and she thought it was okay, kind of boring, but she was like, I think you'll like it. So we get to it. Tell It to Me Singing. I got this from the publisher, and I think that this is gonna be really good. And also, like, the cover is so cool. It's like a tile. It looks like a kitchen tile on the top. Kiss Me at Christmas. Planning to read this soon. High Time, which is about... This is a sequel that I didn't read the first one of, so You know, probably not gonna do all that, so we'll unhaul it. All the Summers in Between. I think this is a book that I'll like, but I might wait until next summertime because it seems like a summertime historical fiction kind of fun read. Butcher by Joyce Carol Oates. I've had this a while, haven't read it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Revival by Stephen King. Again, I will read this at some point. Real Americans. I don't know why I haven't picked this up because it's like a book I was so excited for. I feel like it's one of those, like, I don't want it to disappoint me, but I'm keeping it. Wellness. This is one that I thought that I would really like, and I'm sure that I would, but I haven't read it yet. I've had it for like 2 years, so I'm gonna get rid of it. And This Great Hemisphere, I feel like I loved this author's first book, but this just does not sound quite as good to me. And I wanted to really give it a shot, but I just don't know. I think I'm a little too intimidated. So I'm gonna give it to someone else. Okay, my last shelf is like too high for my tripod, so we're gonna hold it while we do this. So first, Flying Blind. This is about the Boeing 737 MAX crashes. I work on airplanes, so I thought this would be a cool read, but honestly, I've had it for like a very long time, so we're gonna get rid of it. Into Thin Air. This was a book of I got this used, and honestly, it's not really in great condition. Not that that would stop me from reading a book, but I don't know. Maybe I'll see if my husband wants this. The Sweet Spot. I've had this a while. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Hold on. Okay, this is honestly, I'm sorry, these angles are terrible. The Sweet Spot. I've had this for a very long time. I haven't read it. It is gonna go on to its new owner. Cleveland Rocked. I can't get rid of this. It's about the 1995 Cleveland Indians, which is my favorite baseball team, so I'm keeping that, even though I've had it for several years. The Favorites. Again, I've had this for quite a while, and I haven't read it. I still kind of want to. I'm gonna keep it. Fight Like Hell. This is about the history of like unions, and so I do want to read it. On a Move. This was about the bombing. I talked about it before, but I'm gonna keep it a little longer because I haven't really had it too long. The Highest Law in the Land. This is about like the sheriffs, like as a position, and how they're like basically lifetime appointees almost, and that they have like complete like unchecked power and how that's bad. I've got They Came for the Schools. This was about like racism in a Texas school. Shocking. Keeping that. A Great Country. I've had this. This one reminds me of the Real Americans, or sorry, Real Americans, in that I've had it for so long. I'm so excited to read it, but I just like I don't want to be disappointed. So I mean, I'll get to it eventually. And then I have 3 Stephen King books: The Running Man, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and Dolores Claiborne. All 3 books that I am still planning to read. So we're almost done. I have a couple Book of the Month books over here that it's going to be way too complicated for me to like maneuver the camera yet again. So I'll tell you what they are. We have Tomb Sweeping, which is short stories. I actually started to read this like last week and I just did not get engaged. So it's time for this to go. I actually think I'm going to get rid of 3 out of these 5. So the other 2 would be Queen of Thieves and The Love of My Life. So this was a January 2023 pick. I really did think that, I'd want to read that, but it's not happened. And this was an add-on, so I don't know when it was from, but I did get it a long time ago. Let's see these other 2 when they were released. So this was in May 2022, Take My Hand, and People We Meet on Vacation. This was April 2021. So I've had both of these for quite some time. I don't know. I think I'll keep this because I am determined that someday I will have read all of Emily Henry's like rom-coms. And this one, as good as it sounds, I just don't know if it's something I'm gonna pick up. So we're gonna be a mature adult and get rid of books that we aren't sure we'll read. I'm saying how many times I can change the lighting in one video. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that maybe this inspires you to unhaul some books. I have made so much space for new books and also to reorganize these better. So if you are interested in any of the books that I am getting rid of, I will have them all on Pango, and please like send me a message because I'm happy to, you know, I price my books pretty cheap, but I've also like totally would rather them get out of the house and to somebody that will, you know, someone that watches my videos. That'd be cool. So definitely message me and I'll see, you know, we can work something out. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.